Hello everyone, good morning. This is Kiran, the trainer joining.
Hello, Kiran.
Yeah, hello. I'm just letting few participants to join the call. Give me just 1 minute and then we'll get started. Okay, thank you for waiting, everyone. Let me also share my screen and then we'll get started. Okay, I hope my screen share is visible. Can any one of you please confirm if my screen share is visible?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay. So once again, I thank you all the audience for joining this quick demonstration class on accessibility testing. To give a little overview about my profile, my name is Kiran and I will be the trainer for accessibility testing. And I have close to 19 years of experience in the software testing industry and have been doing corporate trainings, consulting engagements, and of course working for an organization as head of QA. And I typically focus on building the testing practices, building the testing competencies, otherwise simply say building the testing center of excellence for our customers, especially on the automation side, meaning on the functional automation side and the non-functional automation side, such as the UI automation, the backend automation, using a lot of tools like Rest Assured, Selenium, Catalan, Postman. Then on the non-functional test automation, I focus on performance testing, security testing, using tools like Jmeter, Gatling, K6, and also on the security testing, using tools like Burp Suite, Z-Attack Proxy, Network Mapper, SQL Mapper, and also the accessibility testing and usability. And also on the accessibility and usability testing, which is the course that we are all learning in this batch. And also on the CI/CD integrations using the DevOps tools like Git, GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Jenkins. So that's a quick round of introduction about my profile. And so I have been associated with Isha Training Solutions from quite a long time. And we have partnered to deliver the niche courses, on non-functional testing a lot. And accessibility testing is something we have been doing from last 5 months, I would say. And we have already completed a couple of batches on accessibility where we had some good active participation. And from today onwards, we are starting this new batch. Though it sounds like demo class, please take it as day 0 class. And we'll continue the classes from tomorrow itself. There is no break saying, after 1 week, we'll start the batch. There is nothing like that. Today is the day 0, tomorrow day 1, then day 2, day 3. It starts immediately. So the idea of this quick demonstration class is to help you understand what we teach in accessibility testing. Is it something that you are looking at? Or if you have any questions related to accessibility testing, like do you teach this? Do we cover that? Yes, you can feel free to ask those questions in this demonstration class. And then you can take a decision on your enrollments as well. So I'm sharing my screen where my course curriculum is also there. So this is a standard course curriculum I use for public batches like this. Also for the corporate trainings I do for organizations like IBM, JP Morgan Chase, and a couple of other organizations like Dell, Deloitte. Same content is what I use. So there is no change. So this course has been designed for close to 16 hours. But I'm sure it won't be exactly 16 hours. It will go beyond 16 hours, because if I take my last batch, we went until 22 hours, because we had some lot of questions coming from the participants during the trainings, and it is my responsibility to answer them as well. So that way we stretched for almost 6 hours additionally for 6 classes, meaning 6 days more. Okay, and this is for 1 hour per day. I think that is also something which I should probably make it clear here. I'll put it on the chat. So the course timings will be pretty much simple. It will be usually Monday to Friday, no classes on weekends. And the timings remains the same, morning 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Indian standard timings. And assume it will be somewhere between 60 to 20 hours, meaning you can assume we'll have these many classes. 1 month is what we are taking as benchmark to complete this course. And the notes related to this will be shared to you guys. The rough notes and the detailed notes will be given to you by me, and each class gets recorded and will be given access to you as well. Okay, so that should not be a problem. We'll also form a WhatsApp group where we can discuss about anything, like if someone cannot join the class, they can just post it over there. And even if you don't join the class, you will still get the recordings and the notes as usual. Go through the notes, recordings, and join the next class to make yourself comfortable for the upcoming classes. So that's some quick information, guys. Coming to the course curriculum that I teach, that you should know is, you can forget this chapter 1 day 1. That's for corporates, where we typically do it's a 2-day program. I'll do one thing. I'll try to increase the font size so you can see it. Is this visible, guys? The font size?
Yes.
Yeah. So chapter 1 focuses on introduction to software testing techniques and testing methodologies. In fact, this is what we are going to start off probably from tomorrow, in case if we have, because today is reserved typically for getting some questions from you so I can answer it. So I'll talk about the software testing introduction and what are the different types of software testings we have, like functional testing, non-functional testing, automation testing, manual testing, positive testing, negative testing, constructive testing, destructive testing, black box, white box, gray box. So let's talk from the very basics, and then I'll give a quick introduction about non-functional and functional, because accessibility testing comes under non-functional testing. So we should know what is non-functional and what is functional testing. Then we'll talk about what exactly is usability testing and how do you measure that. So if someone says, can you do usability testing for a particular web application? What exactly do they mean by, what are the parameters you should think of, how the test case should look like? So that's like an introduction towards that. Usability typically dive into what is access. So we'll try to understand. So simply say accessibility testing principle is simple. Internet is for everyone. Okay, internet is only, it's not only for privileged people. Internet is not only for abled people. Internet is only not for literate people. Internet is not only for computer people. Internet is for everyone. Everyone should be able to use internet. There is no discrimination when it comes to internet, such as there is no gender discrimination, there is no country discrimination, there is no abilities versus disabilities discrimination, there is no literate versus illiterate discrimination. So this is what accessibility testing talks about, which means simply say, if someone comes and says, hey Kiran, I'm not a computer student, can I still use Facebook? Do we say no to them? No, right? They should be able to still use Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Google search, do whatever you want. You should be able to do that, because internet is designed in a simple manner so that anyone can use it, right? So that's what accessibility testing simple definition is. It should be, your application has to be useful to everyone irrespective of their categories. Similarly, accessibility testing should be visible to people who can see, who cannot see, or who are partially blind, fully blind, who are color blinded, who are not color blinded, people who don't understand English, people who cannot read English, people who have far sight or a short term sight, people who forgot their key, who forgot their reading glasses. There are certain people who cannot read the text until they zoom it. So like they zoom, and then only they can see it. Then certain people say, I cannot read it because I'm not good in reading. But if you read it, I can understand, right? Because people are also there like that, right? For example, if I talk about my mother, she understands the local language Telugu, but she cannot write it, right? Because they're all the old generation, probably they didn't do that much of education, right? But they speak that local language, let's say Hindi or Telugu or Malayalam, whatever language you talk about, they speak that language, but they cannot write it and they cannot read it. But if you speak, they can understand. So for such kind of people, we have tools like screen readers. So screen readers will read the text so the other person can understand it. So accessibility testing principle is the same thing. Everyone should be able to use the internet in one or the other way. Are you providing a way for them to use your application, whether it is a mobile app or a web application? That's the whole concept of accessibility testing. And that is what we are going to learn and to test certain applications using manual ways, using some tool ways. Okay. Yeah. So there is a point from Senthil. Our doubts will be clarified after the session. Okay. Let me read it. Hope our doubts clarified after the session. And I have another course going for the last 2 months on the same time, but nearly this course. Okay. Sure, says Senthil. Questions will be definitely clarified. Like I said, the previous batch had too many questions because they're actually looking for accessibility testing job, and the current project is also accessibility testing. So that's why we have to spend extra time every day, and that resulted in a stretch of 6 classes more. So I'm always in favor of answering your questions. You can ask me your questions on the WhatsApp group after your enrollment is completed, or you can ask me in the class, or you can ask me over email. So the choice is yours, and answers will definitely come from Isha. From our side, answers will definitely come. Thank you. Okay, so coming back to my course curriculum, then we'll talk about the 4 testing principles of accessibility. And that's the straightforward first interview question. What are the principles on which accessibility testing is built? And the answer is POUR. P stands for perceivable, O stands for operable, U stands for understandable, R stands for robust. So perceivable means, is your application perceivable by any type of user who uses those 5 senses of his body, right? We all know the 5 senses of the body, right? Something like, touch, sight, then smell doesn't come into testing process, then hearing, right? So these are the perceivable factors we are looking at: sight, touch, and hearing. Okay, and maybe voice. If I mean, it's not something I should write, but still we are writing it here. So is your application usable for people who have sight issues? We have to talk about that in the training. Is your application accessible for people who cannot touch the screen, like mobile phones or a laptop which is touch based? Or is it accessible by people who just want to touch and use the application like mobile users? So with the touch, without a touch. Then hearing, people who cannot hear, right? They are deaf. Can they use your application? And then voice, meaning people who cannot speak. Okay, dumb, right? People who cannot speak, can they still use your application? Now you might say, yeah, Kiran, I'm using google.com even if I don't speak, like I'm silent when I'm using my Gmails. Yes, but not every application expects you to be silent. Certain applications want you to speak, right? I mean, maybe we are not using them, but in military applications, army applications, or in some enterprise applications, there might be an application that expects you to talk. So how can those people use your application? So that is the perceivable factor we are looking at. Then you have O for operable, meaning, is your application operatable for people who cannot use mouse? Usually we are all used to mouse, right? Keyboard, mouse. What if your mouse is not working today? Can you still work with your computer? How can you work with your computer? We have to figure it out. And is your application developed to support those people who cannot use the mouse or who don't have a mouse? Or you might say, come on, Kiran, is that a situation where people say, I don't have a mouse, I cannot use a mouse? Of course, yes. We have to consider everything. There are people with motor issues. Okay, you can Google it, MOTOR, motor issues. People who cannot, who have these motor issues, they cannot move their hand. Okay, something like a paralysis for their hand or fist. They cannot happily move the mouse. Otherwise, they can move, but their hand shakes a lot. So when they want to take the mouse on a login button, it will go onto login button after a lot of difficulty. So their hand experiences a lot of shaking. So they will not be able to keep the cursor in a username text box, in a password text box, and then click on login button. By mistake they click on sign up button, or by mistake they click on forgot username password buttons because their hand shakes a lot. So for them, how is your application operable? That we are going to discuss under O category, operable. Then you have understandable. Understandable means uh, is your application simple for everyone to understand, or they find it difficult to read your text and to understand it? Something like, I'm typing something on my chat. Let me know if you understand this. Okay, don't Google it, just say yes or just say no. I can provide myriad ways to teach POUR in. Okay, I wrote some text on the chat window. Do you think the statement I wrote is simple, understandable, or there is little difficulty for a few people, or there is full length difficulty in understanding that statement? You can say yes or no on the chat, or you can unmute and tell me. Read the statement and do let me know, guys.
Yes.
So you mean difficult or easy?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult.
Okay, and others? I hear only from Vijay.
It's difficult.
Okay, difficult. Two people are saying difficult. Okay, Prakash also said, thank you.
Difficult to understand the statement.
Yeah, Sony also said, thank you. Anish also said difficult. So if I speak like this in the training, like I can provide myriad ways to teach core in A11Y testing, you are like, come on, this trainer is not good because he is making my life miserable. Similarly, if your application is also, meaning your web application that you have developed, and you know that every web application developed has a lot of text content. We provide a lot of content, right? Whether it's a mobile app for iOS or Android or a web application, content is important for people to consume it. If the content itself is not understandable, how does the opposite person react? They're like difficult. I don't think so. I have to come to your web application. I'll go for some other alternative because that could be a little easy for me. Okay. Example, how many of you remember Orkut, or have you heard of Orkut from Google?
Yes. It was like Facebook, I think.
So if Orkut could have done good things on social media, Facebook would have never existed. Orkut could have been running the show now, but Facebook killed it because of some other reasons, not related to understandability factor, but because of accessibility factor, usability factors. Okay, so I'm actually talking about this statement, right? So here I'm using difficult words like myriad. So I have to Google what is myriad if I don't know. So myriad typically means lot of, multiple. So I can provide lot of ways, multiple ways to teach POUR. Now people don't know what is POUR, but I mean you know that because I'm teaching you. POUR means perceivable, operable, understandable, robust. And then you don't know sometimes what is A11Y testing. So A11Y testing is nothing but accessibility. The spelling of accessibility is this one, right? So we remove these things and we type 1 1 because there are 11 characters before A, after A, and before Y. So if you count it, you will see it. So A11Y is nothing but accessibility. And we know what is myriad: various, multiple, lot of. These are the synonyms. And we know what is POUR: perceivable, operable, understandable, robust. Now I have given the explanation. And now if I'm using this statement in my web application or in my teaching, do you still say this statement is difficult, or you would say it is easy? Easy. So Prakash confirmed. Now it is easy. It
Now
makes
it's easy.
sense. Perfect. Thank you, Sanjay and Sonia. So this is how your application has to be developed. So whether it is a mobile app or a web application, is your application understandable to people? And if you are using synonyms like A11Y, somewhere there has to be a glossary section where we explain what is A11Y or what is POUR, what is myriad, without they having to go to Google and then searching for the meaning. So our application only should be able to help them. That is the second thing. The first thing is, don't make your application difficult for people to read. There are some websites, or there are certain automation tools available that will tell whether the content on a given application is easy to read, easy to comprehend, or difficult. Now, why should we talk about you understandable, right? The reason is simple. We all speak English. At least we'll talk about this participants in the training. We all speak English. We understand English. We are good in English. Until someone comes and starts speaking in a better English. Right? For example, myriad itself, right? The word we never use in common English, right? In India, at least we don't use this word. But people in UK or US, they use this word a lot, right? And people who do accessibility testing, they use the word alley or A11Y. They don't use the word accessibility, right? So we know that our English is good, better. We do a better job. We are proficient in English, unless some expert comes and starts speaking to us, making us realize that, oh my God, I'm still yet to reach that level, right? Which means in the industry, whatever you think is okay for you may not be okay for others. Your language, I mean, if you are preparing an application with a language you always assume that, yeah, people should definitely know the meaning of this, and this statement should be clear to them. It is understandable to you, but you're not thinking from other person's perspective. So this course will tell you how to think from other person's perspective, and your content has to be understandable to everyone. Right now, if I compare the English dictionary, what an American speaks, what a Britisher speak, with Indians probably will be at level 3, and the UK and US will be probably at level 1 in terms of proficiency, in terms of statement making. But if I compare an Indian who speaks English with someone who speaks English, let's say some other country, XYZ country, or maybe Namibia in South Africa, or Zimbabwe next to South Africa. Maybe if you compare with some other countries, you might say, hey, India is at level 1 when it comes to English speaking as compared to some other ABCD country, right? It all depends on the education factor. It all depends upon the generation that's talking about English, using English, right? So our web application has to always consider the U aspect, understandability. U understandability is not only about English language. Okay, I just give one example only. Then we have robust, R for robust, meaning is your web application or mobile app compatible with third-party applications that we are going to use for accessibility testing. Example, screen readers are there. That application reads the content present on your application. So is your application allowing another application to read the content? That's called as robust. Because there are so many third-party accessibility testing tools coming in the market. So we have to focus on whether those applications allow us to read your applications or not. So this POUR itself is one major topic. In fact, the entire course focuses completely on POUR model. Then moving further, we'll talk about why is accessibility testing important and the benefits of it. Simply say why we are supposed to do it. The answer is simple. In certain countries, accessibility testing is mandatory. Your application has to be accessible. Otherwise, the government can sue that organization, saying, you are discriminating between abled people and disabled people, because disabled people are unable to use their application, and they can sue you, meaning that organization which developed that product. Example, US, UK, Europe, their accessibility standards are very strict. They have a law in the country that every application has to be usable and accessible for every type of person. In India, we don't have such laws. Therefore, we don't end up doing a lot of accessibility testing for Indian products, right? But for those products where the application will be used by army, military, insurance projects, or there is something called I forgot the name, but these kind of applications, they typically talk about accessibility a lot. So because certain countries have got the laws to protect every user, this accessibility testing becomes important. So when we know that we have to do accessibility testing, there has to be an industry body that gives us guidelines how to test accessibility. So that is where WCAG, which we pronounce it as WCAG. Okay, WCAG, we pronounce it as WCAG. It stands for Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. That is the full form. So WCAG is the industry body, a non-profit open source organization that helps the developers and the test engineers how to include accessibility in your development process and testing process. So WCAG started almost in the year 1999, which means almost 25 years back, and it's still running today. And initially they started with 1.0 version of guidelines. Later they started with 2.0 guidelines. Later they upgraded to 2.1 guidelines, and then 2.2 guidelines, and then 2.3 guidelines, and now they're planning for 3.0 guidelines. Right now 2.3 is the latest. Okay, and whatever you look at it, I think it's not 203, 202 only. 3.3, 3.0 is the upcoming one, which probably will come next year, I guess. It is under the documentation process. So these guidelines will tell you some success criteria, some test cases, some checklist that our developers should follow and testers have to execute it. So I will talk about this introduction to WCAG, why 1.0 is introduced, then why 2.0, 2.1, 2.2 came into picture. And WCAG 2.0 is the latest one. Under 2.0, we have some conformance level as A category, AA category, AAA category. Meaning, so under WCAG 2.2, which is latest, we have A, AA, and AAA. These are the conformance levels our developers have to follow. A is by default, your application will have the A conformance levels, meaning the auditing will happen by external people, and they by default certify your application as certified as A. Only after you test it according to WCAG guidelines and fix all the bugs and ensure that all the bugs are closed, your application gets AA conformance level. This is something recommended in the industry. A is by the default expectation. This is like basic standard. Every website that is developed will adhere to A standards. AA standards is little difficult, and that is why this course is. That is why people talk about WCAG guidelines. And then you have very tough AAA. This is also a conformance level. Very hard to achieve. This is, if you are getting this AAA certification from an external auditor, it means every small accessibility issue that you detected is getting resolved. So we'll talk about what is A, what is AA, what is AAA once we start the course from tomorrow. Okay, but these are the ones that we have. Okay, then I'll also talk about the different types of disabilities that we have in the industry. Right, so these are the disabilities for which our application accessibility testing has to be conducted. So people with visual issues, speech issues, hearing issues, motor ability, not able to move the hand properly, cognitive disabilities, meaning their brain does not work as fast as someone's, right? Something like dyslexia or autism, those things. So we have to consider people with all these disabilities and see how they will be able to use your application. Okay? And then to make your application accessible for everyone and meet AA standards or meet AAA standards, developers have to develop the application, right? Usually when a website is developed, we talk about HTML5 being used, CSS being used, right? Which is true. But to make your application accessible so that you get a AA certification or in the future AAA certification, there is a language called ARIA, which stands for Accessible Rich Internet Applications. So a developer has to use this ARIA concept. Without ARIA programming standards, your application cannot meet 2.2 guidelines and meet AA conformance standards. So we'll understand what is ARIA, not as a developer, as a tester. ARIA is a developer baby. We will just talk about high level, what is ARIA, why do we need it. Simple line, it's a programming language. It's a standard used by developer to make your application accessible. Okay. So we'll talk about that. ARIA is very important for developers. And okay, there are a couple of other points here, like we're going to talk about how do you ensure that your application is navigable for all types of users, meaning someone who says I cannot use mouse, can I still navigate through all the fields? And people will have color disabilities, so how can they look your application which has some colors, right? So example, I'll simply show one application, a demo application. I'm not entering username and I'm not entering password, and I'm clicking on login. So once I click login, there is a red rectangular or focus ring around username text box and around password box. This is appearing in red color, and the text required is also appearing in red color. Okay. Forget about the word required. Assume that required is not there. Okay. Only the ring is there, red color ring. Is everyone able to see the red color ring?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you are seeing only red color ring. What if we are talking about a person who cannot see red color? In that case, is this red color ring visible? No, right? If a person says I cannot see red color because that is my drawback, can they see this rectangular ring? No, they cannot see it. So
Oh.
your application is using color as mode of communication. That is not correct. Of course, the good thing is the word required is coming, so at least they will see required in black color text or brown color text or gray color text. But if the word required itself is not coming, they will never come to know what is the problem with this particular error message. So color should not be the only way of explaining your error messages. So this developer did a good job by typing the word required also. If the word required is not there, then just highlighting things in red color is not correct, because there are certain people who cannot see that. So we'll talk about color contrast issues, color blinded issues. And there are certain practicals we are going to see, like how do you do accessibility testing for keyboard users, meaning a person comes and says, I don't use mouse and I use only keyboard. So is your application accessible to me? So we are going to write a checklist and see that. Then we are going to see how to conduct accessibility testing for screen reader users. Like people say, I cannot read it. I want some help from someone to read my text. So screen reader softwares are there like JAWS, NVDA, Microsoft Narrator, Mac VoiceOver. We use these tools to test it. Okay. Then conduct accessibility testing for low vision users, people who have short visions, meaning they cannot see. Unless they zoom it, they cannot see it. So something like this. See, let's say people say, I cannot read the word required. So they zoom it. So Control plus, and you see now they are zooming it. Now they say, okay, this is required. And this is where the login button is. No, that's when, this is how the people use applications when they cannot read it properly. So they zoom it to read it. So we are going to see how application works for zoom text people or low vision. Then we'll talk about conducting accessibility testing for color blinded users. People who are color blinded, who cannot see certain colors. Like I gave a simple example, red color focus ring, they cannot see. Like that, we'll use some tools and see how accessibility testing has to be conducted for that set of folks. Then in the next chapter or upcoming chapters, we are talking about some automation tools that accessibility testing industry is providing, like a color contrast analyzer. So color contrast analyzer tool will help you whether the background color and the foreground color used by the developer is clearly visible to everyone or not visible to everyone. So color contrast analyzer will tell you what is the color contrast ratio used by the development team in the web application developed. Color contrast is the difference of brightness between foreground color and background color. Our native eye cannot detect the color contrast ratio, so we use some automation tools to figure it out. Under WCAG guidelines, like whatever I told here, under AA standards, they have mentioned some standards. Example, they say color contrast ratio has to be 4:1 in some situations. In some situations, it should be 7:1. In some situations, it can be 3:1, 3.5:1. So certain standards are given by WCAG guidelines. So we cannot test it with native eyes. We need some automation tools to test it. So that is where this color contrast analyzer tool will come into picture. Then to do accessibility audits and provide test reports, we use Lighthouse tool from Google. And I'm going to teach this tool via the graphical user interface, which is a Chrome extension or a Firefox extension. Later, we'll use the same Lighthouse tool on the command line mode, meaning I'll go to the CMD prompt and I will type the word Lighthouse and the application URL and some parameters here to test my application from the command prompt to generate HTML test reports. Then we are also going to see how to integrate Lighthouse tool with a Jenkins tool to achieve a continuous testing process, CI/CD thing. So Jenkins is a server-side tool that we use, mostly used by DevOps and developers. But in the course, I'm going to show you how to install the tool, how to use the tool, and we'll integrate this Lighthouse for CI/CD process with Jenkins tool. This is tool one I'm going to talk about, Lighthouse tool. Okay. So maybe I will say here, Lighthouse tool. Then there is another tool called Pally, Pally. So I'm going to explain this Pally tool on the CLI mode to conduct accessibility audit. Okay. CLI means command line interface. So we have to install Node.js to work with the Pally tool. So I will write here also installation of Node.js and Pally tool from the command prompt. Okay, so we'll install this tool and then we'll conduct accessibility testing and we will generate test reports. So I will write here generate test reports in .html, .json, .csv format. Because these reports are necessary, right? We have to send the reports to development team. So I'm going to show you those things. There is another tool called KOALLY tool, which is a GUI tool. Using this also, we can generate accessibility audits. So here to make it simpler for you, I will write KOA11Y tool. So we'll talk about installation of Koli tool. Then we'll use Koli tool on the GUI mode to conduct accessibility audit. Not only accessibility audit for web applications, audit of web content, with images and without images. Okay. Meaning, I'll say again, using Koli tool on the GUI mode to conduct images accessibility. So we'll also test the images. So if there is an image given to you, like example, you see this is an image, right? Open image is coming. So this is an image. I want to test this image only, not the text like username or this one. I don't want to test the images, so text. I want to test only the images for accessibility. For that, this tool is there, KOALLY tool. Okay. I'll call it as text content. Then we can also generate test reports. Okay, it supports a couple of formats. I don't remember the formats, but I think it supports. Okay, fine. Okay, let me take a small pause here Am I going too fast, or you're understanding all the information? Do you have any questions that you want to ask right away? Okay, assuming that you're following me. Yes, please go ahead.
Fine, it's okay. You are not going too fast.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Then there are some other tools that I'm going to talk about, which I have written here, if you see. So let me just move this. Keep it here. So this is where I'm talking about how to build test cases for accessibility testing. I'm also going to talk about that. I think the tools is very important. That's where my focus is on tools. Apart from these tools, there are other tools that I'm going to teach you, like Axe tool, which is a Chrome plugin, Firefox plugin, Microsoft Edge browser plugin. Another tool called Wave, which is also a plugin available. Pally, Coley, I have told you. Then Andy is another tool, which is a booklet, which is a bookmarklet that you can drag and drop to your browser and test for accessibility and generate test reports. Then color contrast analyzer, like I said, this is another tool I have. Then screen readers I have. Screen readers such as NVDA, JAWS. Then we have Narrator from Microsoft. Then a tool from IBM also I'm taking up, IBM Equal Accessibility Checker, a fantastic tool using which we can generate a lot of test reports. Another tool called No Coffee Vision Simulator, Web Disability Simulator. These two tools will help you to understand the world of people who cannot see, right? So certain people come and say, I cannot see green color. Now, how do you know, or how do you feel when someone cannot see green color? We are like, we want to be showing empathy to them. Like you want to feel how they are feeling it, right? That's why these two tools are there. I'm going to show you these tools as well, how they feel it. Okay. Yeah. So then we have the accessibility testing being conducted for different areas, like how do you test it for tables, colors, audio, video, etc., etc. Okay. And I already said I'm going to integrate these tools with Jenkins as well. Yeah, so these are normal things, like what are the things that we are going to test. But I think in chapter 2, the focus is more on the tools that we are going to cover. After you cover all these tools, it would be definitely completing POUR, 4 principles of accessibility testing, the 4 principles of accessibility. And also you will have a perfect understanding on the WCAG guidelines 2.2. And this course is completely, technical course. Of course, theory is also there. For the first few classes, you will definitely have theory. And all the theory I'm showing you will be converted to practicals almost whenever there is a possibility by using a tool. Okay, Sanjeev has a question. Are all these tools paid tools or open source? All the tools are open source. Whatever I'm talking about, they're all open source. JAWS is the only paid tool, but there is a trial version available. And similar to JAWS, I have Microsoft Narrator, which is coming on your Windows OS by default from Microsoft. Very nice tool, and in fact, it is free for everyone. NVDA is a similar tool, competitor to JAWS. It is also free for everyone. So all the tools are free. Whatever I'm teaching you are free. You can also download and use it, and you will be practicing them as soon as I complete it. Okay. So, yep, I think that's all I have in this particular demonstration. The idea is to help you understand what all I teach, what all I cover. Now that you got a quick understanding of what I teach, over to you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me now.
Hi, Kiran. Anish here.
Yes.
Actually, one of the question, I think you answered it regarding the open source. The second question is like, I see a number of tools that you have mentioned. So we have like 16 to 20 sessions. So like, are we covering all of them, or are we covering like some of them in detail and some are in like?
No, whatever I have mentioned here, there are some outdated tools, like 1 or 2, like Stark for Chrome is not there. But whatever you see here, I'm covering them. Minimum, there are 8 or 10 tools that I'm going to cover. And these tools are not like, Selenium tools. It's not that, they're so huge. Each tool takes hardly 30 minutes to 45 minutes to understand it and to test it. So they're all like, easy tools. They don't need any coding at all from you. It's all configurations.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So I'm picking only the top 10 tools which you should know for sure, because they definitely will be useful in your daily life. And after these 10 tools which I'm teaching, you can learn any other 11th tool on your own easily, because the 11th tool will be looking similar to one of these 10 tools.
Yeah, Kiran. I have one question. Quick question.
Yes.
Yeah, in most of the accessibility interviews, they ask how much percentage of the site you can make accessible. Uh,
Hmm.
Answer from you. Can we make 100% web application accessible, or
See, 100%, if you have to make it accessible, you have to go for AAA conformance level, which is highly
okay?
impossible.
Yeah,
So the answer to your question is, we can make it AA standard. AA standard is recommended in the industry, and it is possible also.
yeah. And one more quick question. In my previous organization, I was working on RGA guidelines. You know what RGA guidelines? Right? French guidelines.
I'm sorry, say that again. Which guidelines?
RGA guidelines.
RGA.
Yeah, RGAA. It's for French applications. Bit like similar to WCAG guidelines.
Okay.
Are you aware of this one, RGA guidelines?
No.
Because almost
No.
they use the same tools like they were using the X2.
Okay. Okay.
So they named it as
Is it RGA only, right?
RGAA.
AA. Okay. I've not heard of it. A referential general adaptation, the French law. Yeah, maybe it is a subset of WCAG
Yeah,
guidelines only.
WCAG,
See,
based
based
on
on
the
WCAG.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. See, RGAA is heavily influenced by WCAG. Yeah. So if you learn the WCAG, then RGAA will be easy. Meaning, see, these guidelines are nothing but test case documents only. They just
Yeah.
explain the checklist and the guidelines and the success criteria. So it should not be difficult to know that. But I mean, in my
And
course, we are,
yeah, yeah, that I know. Okay, focusing on WCAG only.
yeah. I mean, if you have
And
specific questions on RGAA, definitely we can take up in the course. But I'm not teaching exclusively on RGAA. That's a point.
one more thing, how much percentage of it will be manual testing or automation testing? Like in this course, you'll be teaching for manual also and automation also, right?
Yes, yes. Both will be there, manual and automation. When I say automation, no coding.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
don't.
that time. It's
So
for
this
tools, right?
automation, it is only configurations only we do here.
Okay. Got it.
Not in the course. It's generally anyone who teaches accessibility, who conducts accessibility. If you call them automation, it is tool based
Tool.
configurations
Yeah.
only.
Yeah, got it. Thanks.
Fantastic. Yeah. So Prakash said, do we need to do any certifications? Again, it depends. There are certain certifications available, Prakash. Like from ISTQB, there are some certifications available. You might want to do that if you think that is going to help you. But I mean, if you're talking about Indian market, certifications are not needed, because mostly in India they look only for the knowledge, not for the certification. But certification is always a plus. It is always good to have. So probably once you learn accessibility and you feel very confident and comfortable, then we can think about accessibility certifications. Okay, for US market, again, yes, it definitely helps in US market, because a lot of projects in USA, they go through accessibility checks, and definitely an accessibility certification in US will be an advantage to you. And ISTQB has a certification in accessibility. Yeah, any other questions? Okay, Sanjeev has a question. For different browsers, is there a different way of doing accessibility testing? or if we perform accessibility testing in one browser, it is enough and no need to do for other browsers? Yeah, good question, Sanjeev. So I would say doing it on one browser is sufficient. The reason is accessibility testing is not functional testing. It is non-functional testing, which means we always do for only one browser. Okay, so one browser is more than enough, because our A11Y accessibility testing is non-functional testing. If it is functional testing, I would have told to try at least on 2 browsers, 3 browsers. So if I do accessibility on Chrome browser, enough. I don't have to do again for Firefox and Microsoft Edge or Safari. So like I said, guys, the batch starts from tomorrow only. Today is mostly a quick demo of what I teach and wanted to hear from you any questions. Tomorrow we are starting off with chapter 1 immediately, where I will talk about what is, we'll start from the very basic only. First class will be like little brush up on what is testing, techniques in testing, and slowly we'll come to non-functional and accessibility. Day after tomorrow, we'll talk about usability testing, and third day onwards, we'll talk about accessibility testing. So if you have understood the course curriculum and this is what you're looking at, please complete your enrollments. The curriculum is also available on the website. You can also see there. You can see the reviews from previous students, which help them get some fair enough knowledge. And if you have any further questions, ask me right now. We have another 5 minutes before we close the class for today. Otherwise, you can ask us on WhatsApp group also. We'll answer all your questions. Yeah. So any other questions on the content that I have prepared?
Yeah, is there any mobile-based application for this?
Okay, Sanjeev says for desktop applications, are we doing it? Not on desktop applications. We do it for web applications that is running on the internet. But if you want to do it for desktop also, you can do it. Meaning the approach is same. There is no separate tool needed. Whatever color contrast tool I'm using, screen reader tool I'm using, keyboard accessibility checklist I'm using, you can use it for mobile. You can use it for web applications. You can use it for desktop applications also. But I'm not taking an exclusive desktop application and showing it to you, because most of the applications today in the market are web-based applications only.
For mobile, we will be doing a specific test or
No, I mean, in my course, we are not specific to mobile, but the approach is same.
Yeah, Kiran, is there any specific tool we have to use for the mobile-based applications, or the same tools will be applicable for the mobile-based applications also?
Same tools are also applicable. In some cases, the mobile device itself has an accessibility feature. So if you go to your Android phone or iPhone, under settings, they have accessibility feature enabled. If you enable that feature, you will get some clue of how to do accessibility for your applications. So that's an inbuilt feature given by all mobile devices. And whatever tools I'm teaching, not all of them, but few of them are same even for mobile apps. And for some areas of mobile apps, we have some exclusive paid tools in the market, like commercial tools are there in the market. We have to use those tools. Any other questions, guys, like you would like to know? Yeah, and finally, coming to the notes, right? I would like to just tell you how the notes that I have prepared looks like. I'm sharing my screen. Yeah, so this is the Google Drive that I'm going to give accessibility testing material. And I have written some test cases for accessibility. This is like general information that you should know. So you'll get access to this document, which has some generic test cases, quick checklist also written. You'll understand this once we start the course. And whatever tools are available in the market, I'm just making a list here. Not that I'm teaching everything. This is for my personal record also I'm maintaining here, so I can use those tools. Here also have written which tools are there in the market and for which check, they are useful. You will get this quick document from me. A quick accessibility checklist is also there. Then this is the main notes, accessibility testing, end-to-end notes. Yeah, so this is the notes I'm going to share with you guys. So you don't have to write anything while I'm teaching, and I don't have to write anything while I'm teaching, but everything is already written over here. This is the notes I have self-written. As we go forward, the checklist is also written along with some diagrams. About WCAG is written. About ARIA is written. And then our accessibility testing checklist I have written here, which we are going to test it. So with some examples also I have written here. Like this, if you just come down, we have all the tools, like even the tools I'm teaching, right? Top 10 tools. So the details about each tool is also written here. It's a 97-page document that you are going to use. So this is how my document looks like, which I'm going to share with you guys. And there is a small mind map that I found on the internet. I copied it from internet, from Ministry of Testing website. This is a nice document that will help you. So that's the notes you are going to get. These 3 documents. This is not needed. I think this document is not. This is already merged in here. Third document will not be there, but the remaining 3 documents will get it. Yeah. So that's about the notes, and you can download the notes and keep it with you so that you can have access to it. I hope you guys enjoyed the quick demo class today to understand what I teach and what you are going to get. If you have any further questions, please ask us on WhatsApp. We'll be able to answer you. And the batch starts from tomorrow without any delays. Thank you everyone for your participation today early in the morning. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kiran.
Thank you. Bye-bye.